Thank you everybody for joining. My name is Johnny Freeman. I'm Pozotron's, I didn't update my title. I'm the Senior Customer Support Manager. So I help everybody who uses Pozotron handle any issues that may come up. So very familiar with the ins and outs of Pozotron. And today I'm here to walk you through in great detail the proofing tool in Pozotron. So not all projects that go through Pozotron are the same. You might be doing a dual narration, a fantasy book, or a word-heavy literature. And our tools can help different projects in different ways, really. Today, I will be walking you through each page in Pozotron that has to do with the proofing tool. And while I will be highlighting the basic workflow, we'll be spending our time going through all of the additional features and little tips and tricks that might help you out. So with that, the agenda, what we'll be starting with, and I should say, I'd love to answer any questions live that you have. So if you do have a question, if there's anything that pops into your head while watching this, don't hesitate to put it in the Q&A box. That'll alert me that a question is waiting to be answered, and I'll answer it right away. It looks like we already have a question from Mark. Will the recording be sent to I don't understand that last word, but the recording will be sent to anyone that's registered to the webinar. Yeah, we'll send it out usually on the following day. So usually by Friday or over the weekend, we'll get that ready for you. So this will be recorded. And yeah, thank you for the question. Glad to see the Q&A box is working. Alrighty. So the agenda for today, we're going to start with creating your project, which is very simple. However, there are some advanced tricks that you can do when creating a project that'll really help you out with certain kinds of manuscripts, or if you've prepped a certain way. So I'll be covering all of the options there. Then we'll move into the proofing page features. So this is where you upload your audio, and there's a whole bunch of features in there that I'll be covering. Then we'll get into the actual proofing interface, where you're proofing an audio chapter. I'll be covering all of the exports and reports available, along with some additional tools and post-proofing things you might do in Pozotron. And then we'll top it off with the profile settings, ways to customize your Pozotron experience. So with that, we'll get started. Okay, creating your project. So this screen here is where the main purpose of it is for you to upload your manuscript. But there are a bunch of options in here that can help with a couple of things. And let me actually pull up Pozotron. And we'll go through it here. So the first thing you will notice is that the interface has actually changed recently. We have pushed everybody to our new user interface. So it looks a little bit different. It's got a lovely purple color to go along with our posi, but it also introduced a couple of new features. One of those is folders. So you'll see on the home page, these are folders here, and these can really help you organize your projects. If you've been using Pozotron for a while, this My Projects page can get pretty cluttered. And any project can be moved into any folder you create. You can create one just by clicking here, add new folder. It'll show up here. And then you're able to move projects just by selecting it, the top left corner there, press move, and you can put it in any project here. As you can see, I've got a ton of demo projects, which for some reason they're not showing there, but it's very nice to be able to organize your projects. But moving on to creating a project. So the very basic features here are to give it a title. This is actually the only required field here, to give it a name. You can also select a folder straight from here. Question from David, any chance you can magnify the screen? Absolutely. And thank you. Hopefully you can see that a little better. Let me know if that's good or if I should zoom in a little more. Yeah, thanks, Dave. Let me know if that's good. But here you'll give it a title. You can also select any folder you've already created. All right, let me go in a little further here. Congrats on getting a new large monitor. Yeah, thank you. It is quite large. Yeah. Awesome. Okay, good. Yeah, so you can choose any folder to automatically store it. Here you can upload your script. It's interesting, you don't actually have to upload a script when creating a project, and I'll get to that reason a little bit later, but you can manually create chapters. But if you do have a script that isn't going to be changed, it's a final manuscript and you're ready to go, if you want to upload that here, that can be a PDF, EPUB, text, or Word document. Put that in here. Now, all of these settings here, you can do some interesting things. The project details is, again, for people who like to be organized. This will allow you to set an ID for the book or the project. You can set an internal due date, a project due date. You can actually monitor the status, which I find this one to be helpful because this will be displayed on the homepage if your project is completed or it's in a particular stage, the research stage or editing stage. You'll be able to see that at a glance from your My Projects page and actually filter projects based off of this status here. So this is helpful. Then you can enter any notes, just any comments about the project in general that you want to put here. The proofing sensitivity, this allows you to tell Pozotron how strict you want it to be in the proofing algorithm. So there's 3 settings here. You can choose relaxed, normal, or extra sensitive. And just want to make it clear, Pozotron is still extremely accurate on any setting you choose here, even relaxed. However, this will lower the amount of suggestions, particularly on pronunciations. So sometimes I recommend to some narrators who have an accent that's different from just standard North American English, relaxed might help you not get so many false positives. Extra sensitive is also here if you want Positron to be extremely script or strict. And then, of course, there's normal. So you can play around with these. I would say after you've used Positron and you see how it reacts to your voice, you can get an idea if you need to tell it to chill out or get a little more strict. Excuse me. The noise detection option here is similar. It's a different algorithm than our proofing algorithm entirely. So you can have its own, you can set your own settings for this algorithm. You can also turn it off if you prefer not to get annotations based on noise, or you can move it to relaxed or extra sensitive as well. Just a few more options here, and this is the tone of the webinar today. We are going to be going really deep into the weeds, covering all of these additional settings. Question from Mark, what types of noise does it recognize? So our noise detection is primarily focused on background noises, on clipping or synthetic issues with your audio file. It's very accurate with clipping, and then it does its best with background noises. However, we have realized making this algorithm that noises are slightly subjective, and AI isn't so good at shades of gray. It's very good with black and white, error or not. And noises, when is a breath too loud, and when does that become a noise? The noise detection will catch loud, obvious sounds. Little tiny sounds it might not flag, and you can actually move it to extra sensitive if you wanted to catch those. I define clipping, and that is essentially when there is a spike in volume that goes beyond the acceptable range. I actually don't have the technical definition of clipping, but that is how our algorithm detects it. If there's a large spike in volume in your audio, it'll catch that. And another question, which is great, I love the questions. What does sensitivity entail? In the sense of what is it sensitive to? So the sensitivity for proofing, it really will, essentially, it will increase or decrease the amount of suggestions that Positron gives you. And I actually have some projects, if this is an interesting topic, to show you the kind of the differences between these. And actually what would be best if you want to play around with these sensitivity options, but you don't want to upload a lot of audio and be charged to test it out, let us know and send us an email, or I can follow up with you afterward and give you access to a project, the same project with relaxed, normal, and extra sensitive settings. You can actually see the difference there, because that's the best way to see actually how these settings change Positron suggestions. But love all the questions. Keep them coming. Does Pos have a dark mode? Been wanting to ask that for years. Positron does not have a dark mode. I am an internal champion for that feature. I would love to see dark mode. There are I know a customer of ours told us he uses a plugin that works really well. Got to figure that out. But either way, I am rooting in every development call for a dark mode. So hopefully we get that soon. Staring at a white screen for a while, it's hard on the eyes. So I'm on your team there, David. Use Dark Reader. Dark Reader. Okay, yeah. That is a workaround, but eventually we will have a dark mode. It is on our roadmap. Awesome. Thanks for all the questions. I usually have Adam with me and our CEO. He's not here today, so it's nice to have questions to answer. Okay, moving right along to manuscript processing options. This is a bit of a complicated one and one that you probably wouldn't be able to just figure out how it works on your own. So I'm going to show you how this works. It's a very unique feature here, and this basically lets you tell Pozotron how to read your manuscript. And what I mean by that is if I turn on PDF annotations handling, this is going to do a number of things. This is going to remove any crossed out text. So if you have a strike through any lines in your PDF, Pozotron will see that and it won't read whatever has been struck through. Similarly, a comment in your PDF Pozotron will actually read your comment and insert it into the script to tell, so it knows that the narrator is expected to say what's in the comment. And I actually have an example of this. Hopefully you can see this. But this is a PDF with some of the annotations that Pozotron will read. So first of all, any comments like this, Pozotron will read this sentence in the comment and actually put it where the comment is. So it would expect the narrator to say version 3. This is a demonstration of Pozotron's capabilities, and then go into the text that's here. So if you do need to change your script at all, you can use some normal PDF editing things, and it'll actually read it when you upload it to Pozotron. And similar, so the struck through text, essentially Pozotron would not read this. It would skip over this line instead of reading it and go straight into this next line. And if you combine a strike through and a comment, essentially you can change what's written. So Positron would read here, it would read words that were, it wouldn't read this, added to the script. So this is a kind of a particular feature, but it does allow you to actually add notes to your manuscript and change the flow, especially if something says in a book, it'll say, in this book, you will read about blah. And in the audiobook, it'll say, in this audiobook, you will listen or you will hear about XYZ. So this allows you to actually change those so you're not getting a bunch of false positives in Positron. Oh, one thing I didn't mention is this right here. This is a comment box. Positron will ignore this, so you can leave notes for yourself inside the manuscript without worrying about it messing up the proofing stage when you run it through Positron. So a bunch of interesting things here that if you need them can be very helpful. Okay. Moving on to the last few options here. There are a ton of options when creating your project. The annotation filter allows you to tell Positron right at the beginning of the project what kind of annotations you want to see. Now, one thing that's important is the filter will remove anything you check on here. So if you don't want to see a suggestion from Positron where you contracted a word, turn that on, and this will not get suggested when you upload your audio. If you don't want to see the chapter start and end annotations that are very commonly ignored, the beginning and ending annotations in Positron, you can just say, hey, just ignore those. Don't put them in there. Or if I don't care about noises or pauses, so you have control over everything that Positron's going to show you. A question from Gary, is there one specifically for footnotes? Great question. So footnotes are automatically ignored in a Word document. So if you upload a Word document with footnotes, Positron will ignore those. However, PDFs don't have the same metadata to tell us what is a footnote and what isn't. Things like this, headers and footers, will be ignored automatically. where it says Pozotron demo script on every page, this will be ignored. For footnotes, if there's a footer or a page number, that'll get ignored. But if there's like a section in here that has a footnote in it, your best bet would be to strike through these actually and just tell Positron to ignore them if they're not going to be read. Or very commonly, let's say there's a footnote down here and an asterisk up here, and the narrator is expected right after this paragraph here. They get to the end, they're supposed to read the footnote and then continue reading as usual. That sort of thing is difficult for Positron to understand. So you could cross out the footnote down here and then add a comment up here to tell you to switch it around. And that's exactly what this manuscript processing options is designed to solve. Yeah, you're very welcome, Gary. Thanks for the question. Okay. I'm glad we increased the time. We probably won't use all 90 minutes today, but I'm glad we did increase the time because we're already 20 minutes in and I haven't created a project yet. So thanks for bearing with me. We'll keep on going here to the script prep options. So these are new. These are a couple of things for the pronunciation guide specifically. This will disable automatic population of pronunciation data from online dictionaries. So when you add a word to your research list, it won't automatically fill it. It'll actually require you to click the cloud button and see all of the options Positron's found and then choose the best one. So this is it's really a preference there. Now, disable automatic population of user selected pronunciation data is a long way of saying it won't auto-populate. If you recorded a pronunciation for the word Johnny in a previous book, it won't grab that and put it in the new book that you're uploading if that word has, or if that book has Johnny in it as well. So a couple of preferences there. Okay, I feel like I've spent too long on the project creation, but hopefully you learned what some of those features do and how they can apply to your projects. And we will move on to the proofing page or the proofing tab. So this tab, when you go into a project, you will be automatically brought to the proofing tab. And if you really look at this page, there's tons of little things you can click on. There's buttons, there's edit details, project settings, there's a whole bunch of things that have useful tools in them, but they're buried around this page. So I'm going to be walking you through all of these. The main use of this page, let me come into this project here, is to upload your audio files. And that's generally the first thing you'll do. You'll come here, you'll go to this window here and drag and drop your MP3, FLAC, or WAV files. Positron will process them, and then you can open proofing and go ahead and proof them. But before we go in there, I'm just going to walk you around this page and show you all the little nifty tricks that exist. And I won't go through them in any particular order. I'm just going to go through these. And if you have any questions on how any of this works, feel free to let me know. The first thing I like to show is the estimates button. So this is a great little tool. If you've just gotten a script and you're just about to get started on it, you can upload it to Positron. It's going to give you the total word count of the script and give you a project estimation in terms of time needed to complete this project. And this is based on the industry standard of 9,300 narrated words per finished hour. Excuse me. And based off of that, we can see how much work is going to go into narration. Also, you'll see this is at 100% because it's also keeping track of how much audio I have uploaded. So I've uploaded enough audio, and it's actually going to see how many words I said in that audio, and does that match here? Apparently there's 6 extra words here, so I can already see that there's a little mistake there. And it'll also update these dynamically as you go through the project in Positron. So I can see how much work it's going to take to narrate, based on the industry standard of 3 hours of work to record 1 finished hour, how much time it's going to take to prove, how much time it's going to take to edit. So this is a nice general guideline. And a question from Mark, is it possible to change the 9,300 PFH to a different number? Not yet. That is definitely in the plans, though. If you want to enter your own, that's on our development roadmap, but I will also make a note to check in on that, and I'll let you know about any updates on it. That'd be great though, to be able to customize this to be more personalized. That's a great suggestion. Great, so that is the estimation. You can also see that by clicking Show Details. So either one of those, go ahead and click it and get an estimate. The annotation filter is the same thing that you saw in the project creation window, where you can tell Pozotron to filter out certain kinds of annotations. And I want to make it clear we've had some support tickets come in, and maybe it's our UI. Maybe you could tell me. This is not what you want Positron to flag. So you don't want to say, yes, I want to flag misreads, and yes, I want to flag inserted words. This will actually filter them out. So you don't want to click turn anything on here that you want to see. But this is really nice. I can tell it I want to mark all of my open annotations that are noises as okay. And what this is going to do, if I press filter, it's going to tell me 5 annotations will be ignored. If I click OK, you'll see it has done that. And if I go into a chapter here, we'll see anything that was marked as a noise is automatically marked as OK. So if you want to clear any of these out, you are welcome to. Now, if you made a mistake with this and you accidentally filtered a whole bunch of things out, there is a button down in the project settings window. That confused me. I can see my PowerPoint project settings as well. So that was funny. But project settings has some very useful things in here. One of them is to reset annotation filters. So if I click this, I'm going to reset my ignored words. You can see my annotations are back to normal. So feel free to play around with this. And then if you make a mistake, you can always get rid of it. You can also select specific chapters that you want to do this in. And you can also see the history. So I can see that I use this, open to OK, 5 annotations, and you can actually see what's going on here. If you're collaborating and something went wrong, you can see what's going on. Okay, good. Let's see here what I wanted to go over. Filters, we have chapter settings and manual chapters next. So chapter settings are located in this little 3-dot menu. So on each of these, there's a bunch of options here. You can download the audio, you can archive a chapter, just get rid of this. You can export just a particular chapter. This is the import export features, but on a particular chapter. You can mark all annotations as a pickup, and this is for a very particular workflow where you just want to get a DAW marker report with every suggestion Positron has, put it in your DAW and kind of proof and edit at the same time. Some people like to do that. Mark all pickups as fixed. If you have gone and recorded all the pickups here, you can do that. You can also just click on this button if there are any pickups, and that will mark them as fixed. So yeah, a ton of options for chapters specifically in there. You can also rename your chapters in here. This will just rename them in Positron, so you can do that. And let's move on to the next part, manual chapters. So this is a useful, I was actually just talking to someone today who is writing and recording themselves, and sometimes they needed to make changes to the actual script. After they read it out, they wanted to change the text and then redo it. This manually create chapter button gives you a lot of flexibility for what you're proofing. This will let you essentially paste your chapter text here. So it's going to use whatever you type into this window or copy and paste in here instead of a script. And this is why you don't need to upload a script when you create a project. You can just copy and paste one chapter at a time into this window here, and then any audio that you upload will be matched to this text instead of the script uploaded to your entire project. So very useful if you need it. Also, if you do have an issue or if there's like an acknowledgement section or afterword or something that's not included in your main script that needs to be included in the audio, you can then copy and paste that in here and keep it all in one project. Alrighty. Moving along, hopefully not too in the weeds and I haven't put anyone to sleep, but let me know if you have any questions. The activity log and the project details, we'll go through that now. And then we'll get into proofing, the actual proofing interface. So the activity log is here. This lets you see everything that was done to a project. So you can keep an active history of what actually happened in a project, especially helpful if some setting is turned on that is causing you issues. You can usually find the answer here. So you just click this little magnifying glass button there and you can see that. And I already forgot what the next one was. The project settings we already covered. That's down here. Oh no, actually I only showed you one thing in there. So this is really useful. Project settings allows you to move this project to different folders. You can archive the project. You can delete your project. And this is important because some users are concerned about data staying on the internet. And if you are if you want to delete your data from Pozotron, you can at any point. Just hit delete project. That'll delete all your audio files, the script you uploaded, everything's gone. Some people like to do that after every project, but you always have the option here. You can mark all pickups as fixed, just to if you've corrected everything in the project. You can reset scan occurrences, which is a tool I'll be talking about later. And you can also reset the entire project. Again, if there's any mistakes, anything that went wrong while proofing, you can just reset everything here and it'll bring it back to as if you just started it. Great, but with that, we'll go into the actual proofing tool. Oh, I missed a couple things up here, actually. This is part of our new UI as well. The repair button. This is very useful. This is our PDF repair tool. It's always here, and I would recommend not to use it unless when you upload your audio, you see a number here that's like 10,000 annotations or something like that. There's usually a mistake with the PDF you uploaded. And the repair tool is a way for you to solve those problems with your PDF, reprocess all of your audio, and do it all automatically without charging you twice. Because if you just create a new project, you upload all your audio again. This gets rid of all those issues. You'll just want to run OCR, optical character recognition, excuse me, and fix my PDF. So very useful if you do run into anything with the PDF. You can also email us and we'll tell you if it's a PDF issue, and you can run the PDF repair tool. This is also here to handle things like the double page spread. This is when you have, maybe it's a photocopy of a book with 2 pages in one single PDF page. Kind of hard to show you with my hands, but if there's 2 pages combined, that can cause issues, and this will fix that. This will just split it into 2 pages in a normal PDF format. And just saw a comment from David, that might come off to users as audio repair via AI as opposed to PDF repair. Maybe change the label of that button to PDF repair. That is a good point. Yeah, we are not in the business of audio repair via AI. That should probably be obvious here, PDF repair, because that's exactly what this is for. But yeah, great suggestion. Thank you, David. You can also download your script here. If you need the original script, you can click that. That'll open it up. Just if you want to look at your original script as well, sometimes it's useful to do that. You can always do that here. And with that, we will move along into the proofing interface. And this is the most fun part of Pozotron, I think. Excuse me. Okay, so the proofing interface, the main use of this tool is you upload your audio files. You will see the script right here. This will be synchronized to your audio. So as you press play,
Pozotron Studio is an AI-powered scripted audio production tool.
It'll highlight each word as the audio comes through, and hopefully the audio is coming through for you. And it'll highlight any mistakes that it detects. All of these mistakes are listed on the left-hand side as well in what we call an annotation. And this allows you to tell Pozotron to mark something as a pickup or to ignore it. And that's the basic workflow. So again, there's a lot of little buttons in here that I'm going to go through. And let's see what order I decided to do that in. So the interface options are the general options for how you want to proof in Pozotron. And those are listed up here. These are little options here where you can enable or disable auto scrolling. You can get rid of these buttons. You'll see if I click that, this will get rid of any buttons on the right-hand side, or you can turn them on. You can set bookmarks, which is a great little feature for quality of life on a big project. Bookmark, essentially wherever your cursor is, if I press set bookmark, you'll see this little bookmark appear. And if I return to my project, there'll be a resume button now. And this is nice because if I click resume, it's going to automatically bring me right back to where I left. So I don't need to scroll and find where I was. Very useful there. This copy timestamp to clipboard option is very useful for some people like to proof and fix right away. So there's a lot of narrators I talk to, they use Pozotron. They're going through here, they find Pozotron instead of Pozotron, and instead of marking it as a pickup, they actually open up their DAW and they immediately go into fixing it. And copying your timestamp is very nice with that. You can just copy this. So I'll go here. This would copy 31.82 to my clipboard. I can paste that in my DAW and go straight to that point. Also, every annotation has this option as well with the little clock icon here. You can copy the timestamp of a particular annotation and go straight to it. Yeah, we'll go to speed mode. So this is the audio speed. It's by default just on regular speed, but if you want to go faster or slower, you can change that here. I, for one, can't do anything besides regular speed. It just sounds too weird if I listen to anything faster, but you do have the option there. So those are the interface options. You'll also see the audio analysis, so you actually get some details on the audio in this file. This is in beta, but if you see any audio specs that are incorrect, please let us know, but you'll see some specs up there. And let's see what's next. So the first thing I want to talk about is tags. So tags are very useful if you have any sort of collaborative project going on, or you want to split up your pickups to pickups for the editor, or the mistakes that are going to be fixed by the editor, mistakes that are going to be fixed by a different narrator, or anything like that. The tags option is really helpful. So any annotation here, let's say this pickup here, let's take a listen.
Always comes first. Our tools exist to help teams of
So here, these words are missing. Our technology and tools exist. And maybe that's not a good example. Something that could be fixed by an editor, like a pause, this pause here.
seconds.
So we can see there's a pause there. And instead of just marking it as a long pause, I could actually click this little pencil icon right here. And if I have an editor that's going to be working on this, I could do @editing. Or if I'm just going to do the editing myself, but I want to do all of the pauses, cuts, and things that I'm going to be doing, I can mark all of those as @editing and then just work on those before doing any pickups. So it just gives you a lot of flexibility. Some of the main reasons these are used, and let me just open up all of our tags here and show you these options here. So we have missing phrase, inverted, in review, fixable, enunciation. So there's a lot of different tags you can put here. Pop click @Pozotron will tell us that you have tagged this error. So if there is an error that is made in mistake, if Pozotron missed something or it flagged something that it shouldn't have, you can actually tag @Pozotron, and that helps us identify these problem annotations and actually improve the tool. So if you ever do want to let us know about something, you can use that. Pause, noise, narrator. Looks like we got a question from Lisa in the chat. Can we create our own tag? You can't create your own tag because any tag you create would be visible for everybody. However, if you need something, let us know because it might be useful for everybody to have. So if there is a tag you need, just send us a little email with a request. That'd be great. Or if there's one that you want to use, you can just pick any one of these. I know some people use pop click. Even if there isn't a pop click, it's just like a unique identifier. So you can actually use these for whatever you'd like. You can also use for duets or for dual narration. There are tags for narrator with a number. This is really helpful to separate your pickup reports at the end. If you have pickups and another narrator has pickups, you're doing all the proofing, you can mark yours as narrator 1, narrator 2 for the other narrator, and this just makes the report at the end automatic. You'll instantly be able to send just their pickups to them with no added fluff. And a trick I'll skip ahead and show you right now is if you have a tag that you find you're using all the time, I would recommend going to your dashboard, going to your settings, and there's a field here for a one-click pickup tag. And so let's say I want to do editing. At editing, I'm going to press update. If I come back into a project, this is the wrong one. Here it is. And I resume proofing, you'll see these annotations have a new button, which is great. It has an at editing button. And what this means is if I just click this, you'll see it marks it as a pickup and instantly adds that at editing button there. So it's very helpful if you find you're using one all the time. You can also turn it on and off if you have a separate narrator, or if you need a tag for just one project, you can turn it on and then turn it off when you're done. So that's very helpful. Another thing for tags are our hotkeys. So we have got this cool symbol which shows efficiency. This is going to show you all of our hotkeys here. And you'll see a lot of the common tags like narrator 1 through 9. If I have a pickup selected, I can just press any number on my keyboard. I can press 5, for example, and you'll see it automatically marked it as a pickup and added narrator 5. Johnny, you're so Windows. I don't really know what that means, but I think you're right. Oh, that's the Mac command symbol. Oh, wow. I really gave myself away there. That's really funny. I had no idea. That's good to know. Thank you, sir. But yeah, all of the different tags are up here. M for misread, I for inserted, E for editing. So I would actually recommend getting familiar with the hotkeys first. And then if there isn't one available here that you use all the time, then I would add the one-click pickup, or it's really up to you. But tags are really important for DAW markers, for pickup exports. You can customize all of those reports based off of tags. Alrighty, I think that's it for tags. And one thing, so for dual narration, and I always confuse them. I think dual is when one narrator reads one chapter, another narrator's reading another chapter, maybe they go back and forth. And duet is when they're reading lines in the same chapter. It switches between for dialogue. I think that's right. For duets, those are tricky projects in Pozotron. If you do find yourself doing one method that a narrator actually recommended was to just leave all of their lines blank, and essentially you'll have a pickup sheet of every line that they need to read in your chapter with the correct line highlighted and all of that in a pickup packet. So you can just leave their dialogue. Positron will mark all of those as missing, and then you'll have a report there of every line that needs to be read. So there's just a tip there. And if you have a particular question, there's tons of different projects that go through Positron and they all work a little bit differently. So if you have a tip or a trick or a question, please let us know. So that's very helpful. Okay, and now using the keyboard shortcuts, you can also use them to quickly spot check a chapter. So I'm going to go into a new chapter here. I'm going to go to Sherlock. And I've shown this before, so hopefully you're familiar with it, but this is if you just want to get a quick proofing session done. Essentially, you just want to listen to the audio around each pickup. So what I'm going to do here is select this annotation to where it's got this yellow border around it. And if I press on this hotkey window, you'll see A for OK, D for pickup, spacebar to play and pause the audio. And with those three hotkeys, what it allows me to do is press A on my keyboard. It's going to mark that as OK and instantly jump to the next one in the list. So I can actually listen to this.
Since those who know him give him this mark of their appreciation.
I can pause it with spacebar. I can say that's A-OK. I'm going to press A. Skips to the next one. And this is a new script that I put together. It looks like there's an issue there. So I'm going to skip that. Go to the next.
Service of the hospital in order to start a practice for himself.
So that is a pickup. Mark that. Go to the next one.
Incredulously, as Sherlock Holmes leaned back into his settee.
There's a pickup, and you don't even need to pause it. You can, once you get familiar with the hotkeys, you can just let it roll.
Small medical shelf, I took down the medical dictionary and turned up for Holmes, the specialist in crime. Come in. The appearance of our visitor was agile and restless as the antennae of an insect.
That's okay.
Always appeal strongly. Then had you better not consult him? Demand my assistance.
And that's okay. So this is a spot check method that exists if you just need to check what positron's flagged. You can do so very quickly using those hotkeys. David, question. Did you all decide to remove the incredibly convenient return to project button that was at the bottom of the annotation filter column? I believe we just moved it right here instead. Why we did that, I am not sure, but I would love to hear your opinion on that because it used to be down here. That is true. So I guess it's over here now. Let me know if that's as good or if you have any opinion about that. Yes, it was right here. Exactly. Yeah, that's easy request to put back into our dev team. Let me know. Is that it's all right? You liked where it was. All right. That is, I think it's been decided. It should go back. So I'll make that request for you. Thanks, David. Um, because you're in that column as you're working. Yeah, that makes sense. It's good on the page. Oh, we have conflicting votes here. Maybe we'll do both. We'll have to have a discussion. Thanks for the feedback. Okay, let's see. Yes, the other thing that I wanted to show you is the script sync features. Let me go all the way back up to the top. Script sync is over here in the top left. I'd say it's a largely ignored feature and it's very helpful. So I wanted to highlight it here. Script sync allows you to highlight pronunciations and characters that exist in your prep tools. So today we're talking about proofing, but this feature involves prep and proofing. You'll see here with this selected, Sherlock is someone I have on my character voices guide. So I have some notes on him. And if I click Sherlock, this is actually going to let me see whatever notes I put in my prep tool. So this allows me to see it in here without clicking through and going through a bunch of tabs. I can see the descriptions of Sherlock here. He's a brilliant detective. His voice notes, he's got a deep baritone, speaks quickly, London accent. And what's nice about this is I can actually listen to a line of dialogue by Sherlock.
Watson, what do you make of it?
And I can click Sherlock and see if he said it in the voice that was intended. And I don't know what's here. Hello, Watson, blah, blah, blah. Okay. Hello. That is me and doesn't sound like that at all. But if I were a real narrator and I could listen to the recorded voice, make sure it matches the voice that was actually used in the chapter. This way you can ensure character continuity, where that is a thing that Pozotron won't flag on its own. It just checks what words you said. It doesn't check what voice you used. So that's a way for you to check there. Also, just quality of life things. Your pronunciation guide will have the example of pronunciation in here, so I can check any of these words that are on my pronunciation guide. I can listen to how the narrator said it.
The settee.
And I can listen to the correct pronunciation.
Settee.
And we'll see it matches, so if he said that word correctly. So very useful tool if you use our prep tools. It doesn't only help you with prep, it helps you in the proofing stage as well. And the very last things that I wanted to talk about is the filter out button. So for example, there was one I marked as OK back here. Let's listen to it again.
Since those who know him give him this mark of their appreciation.
So we can see here the narrator saying this correctly, but he does have an accent, and Pozotron heard that instead of there. So if this was happening throughout the whole project, that could be very annoying, and that's what this filter out button is for. So this will tell Pozotron to not suggest this particular mistake throughout the whole project. So that way I don't need to click OK every single time the narrator says the word there. Or if you have a made up Elvish language in your book and it's flagging all of those words, you can use filter out as they come up so that the rest of the project gets easier and you don't get so many false positives. So that's what that's for. Very last thing is you can create your own annotations just by clicking and highlighting here. You'll see options appear. First option is to create a pickup. I can say this has a mistake in this line. I'm going to say for emotion or whatever I'd like. We can say, okay, that'll create a pickup. You can add an audio snippet. So if I wanted to make the snippet of Sherlock's voice better, I can use this orange microphone button to add a voice sample to Sherlock here. So another way we have two-way communication between the prep and the proofing. So now when I click Sherlock, you'll see there's two voice samples here. Last thing is you can actually download clips. If you need a section of audio, you can just download that right here. and it's going to just download an MP3 straight to your computer. Very easy. Excuse me. Mark, will you be offering a prep and pronunciation webinar? Absolutely. We just did one last month. We tend to do them every quarter, so we'll be doing one in a couple of months. But if you do want to check our previous webinars, you can access all of our previous webinars from the help button here. Go to webinars, and that'll bring you straight to our YouTube page with all of our webinars. So the very last one we did is the deep dive into prep. So you can take a look at that, or our back to basics will cover the basics of it. It won't be so deep as we're going today. I can't believe it's almost been an hour and we're still got a lot to go. So Lindsay gave me more time by scheduling it for 90 minutes, and I have used more time than I usually do. So I'm going to start to speed up here a little bit. But thanks so much for the questions so far, and I hope it's been helpful. We will go to scan occurrences next. This is a very helpful tool. It's part of our script prep package. So if you pay for our prep tools, you get access to pronunciation, characters, and the scan occurrences tool. So it's a part of a package. And what this tool does is it uses all the words on your pronunciation guide, but you can also add anything you'd like. I can add Pozotron here. And this allows me to search, like Control F on I am a Windows user, Control F on a PDF or a Word document to find a particular word in the script. You can also do the same thing in the audio using this tool. So I typed in Pozotron. You'll see Pozotron found it 5 times in my audio file. Then I can use this scan button here to actually listen to every single time I said Pozotron throughout the whole project. So if I click here,
Pozotron Studio is,
and there we go. I can see immediately that this was pronounced incorrectly, but sometimes it was pronounced correctly, I think.
Pozotron.
So here I can see each entry of Pozotron and how I said it in the recording to make sure I said it the same way throughout the whole book. And Leanne, thanks for attending. Absolutely. We'll send the recording to you afterwards, but thank you for joining. So not only does this let you listen back to each occurrence of the word you've entered here, you can make sure that you pronounced it correctly throughout the whole book. You can also select each one of these, and you can mark these as a pickup, or you can export DAW markers here. So if you want to just find it in your DAW, you would just select whatever system you're using and hit export. That is going to give you a file to show you exactly where this is. And it can really be a project saver if you mispronounced a word throughout a 50-hour audiobook or even 10 hours. It takes a lot of time to find those. And this will give you the chapter and the timestamp right away, along with the other exports. So give it a try. If you do need it, it is there. Moving on to the export options. So I'm going to show you how using tags will affect your exports. But the main exports we have are the DAW markers. These are marker files to import into any mainstream DAW. We pretty much covered them all to show you where your mistakes are without having to dig around for it. Pickup packet is a general report that looks like this on the right-hand side. This is going to give you all the details you need to record. It gives you the line that needs to be reread, the timestamp, description of what went wrong, and an original clip of the audio if you need it. Sorry, just reading the chat. That was funny. Pozotron, yeah, it does have a fun ring to it. Proofing report is an Excel sheet, typo report, and then we have the missed chapter report and missing text report. So I'm going to show you these quickly. The main ones are the DAW marker reports. So I'm going to show you that. Hopefully you know how to use these. We do stress the use of these because they seem to be one of the biggest assets from using Pozotron. But essentially anything marked as a pickup, you can go to import export here, go to DAW markers, choose your system. So I'll show you in Audacity. Then there's a timestamp option. This is important. So if you have a lot of people who use Reaper tend to put all of the files into one big long session and they have them sequentially, you'll want to use the timestamps relative to the start of the book for that. If you're using, really doesn't matter what DAW, but if you have each chapter of yours in its own session, you'll want to make sure the timestamps are relative to the start of each section. This means that each file will start at 0 instead of needing to start at chapter 3 starts at 25 minutes. So that's what the relative to start of the book will do. There is an offset feature. This will allow you, if let's say your audio file starts at 12 seconds for some reason, instead of 0, you can actually add that in here, and this will have your marker file start at whatever offset you put here, so it can line up to your files. So a lot of different options here. You can also include particular tags. I've talked a lot about tags here because they are very helpful, but see, these are tags that I've actually used. I can say I only want the DAW markers for pickups with the narrator 1 tag or the editing tag. And this is where it all comes together. This is why using the tags during proofing can actually save you a ton of time if you need to separate those. So this report in DAW markers, you'll have that in the pickup packet, and any export that we have, you can customize it with tags. Yeah, and with that, I'm going to export this. That'll download a zip file. And so that's one difference using the import export button. This is going to export reports by default for everything in your project. If you just want a particular chapter, let's say I just want Sherlock Holmes, I can actually do that from here. I can say export this chapter so that I don't need to change settings and customize it if it's going to go for everything. This is just for this chapter here. So it doesn't download it in a zip file, it just gives me the straight file, which is nice. I'm going to open up Audacity here. And appreciate you all sticking around. Can't believe it's been an hour. It's wild. Hopefully you've learned something so far. And yeah, Lindsay, I saw your message. Yeah, reminder, any questions, if I did miss any, just make sure you put them in the Q&A box. That's easier for me to keep track of. So let's open up Sherlock Holmes. And just in case you've never used the DAW markers, I did want to stress this because it is awesome. In Audacity, you're going to go to File, Import, Labels. And you'll just double click the file that Pozotron downloaded. And you'll see it actually puts in a marker track here showing me exactly where the issues are. And in combination with this, Gregory, glad you're using it. Yep, this is why we talk about it so much, just to make sure that people know this exists, because it is a big time saver. And what a lot of people do in combination with the DAW marker export, we export a pickup packet. And this is going to have essentially the total pickup number here. This is going to tell you how many pickups are here. It'll split them up by chapter and actually show you the line that needs to be reread along with the particular mistake highlighted, the original audio. It should be everything you need to record these pickups. And they are organized by chapter as well. So if I'm working on Sherlock Holmes, I can collapse this with the arrow here. Now I can go to Sherlock, and one method, you'll find what works best for you, but one method that I've seen a lot of our users do is have both of these open side by side, find the issue that they want to redo. They'll be listed sequentially here, so I can see this is the line I need to reread with the note is add more emotion. So I can record this, splice it in over it, and go down to the next one and find the next one in my file here. One trick for anyone using Audacity, there is an option under tracks to synchronize tracks or sync lock tracks. It depends what version you have. But if this is turned on, it's very helpful. If I delete any section of my audio, you'll see my markers actually stick to the place where they should be. If you don't have that on, and let's say there's a long pause, I get rid of all of this. Now all of my markers are in the wrong spot, and that's a pain. So sync lock tracks, other DAWs have their own ways of making the markers sticky, but I very much recommend if you're using Audacity, turn that on. Alrighty, let's move on. Oh, Audition does it automatically. Yeah, exactly. So some of them do it automatically. Audacity can do it as well. You just have to do it yourself. Mark, I work with dozens of narrators working on various DAWs. If I don't know what DAW they're using, is there a generic report I can send? Absolutely. That is a great question. So on the pickup packet, let's go back here. This is a generic report that you can send to them. Doesn't matter what DAW they're using, they can actually export DAW markers from this page here. So if you're sending this to narrator, they can come here, they can export this. You can also download this as an Excel file or download the MP3s of the pickups if you want. The MP3 file will just have one long pickup file with all of your pickups in there with, I think, 2 seconds in between. And thank you for the reminder. There's a lot of stuff you can do in the pickup packet that I didn't cover. And then you can download DAW markers here for any of our DAWs. And yeah, you don't need to know what system they're using. You can send them the pickup packet and they can download the markers themselves. The only thing is they can't do the customizations for all the tags here. You'll see there's already customizations to the pickup packet. With the tags, it'll automatically split them up. But they can get whatever they need from here. So hopefully that answers your question. They can also change the timestamps to be start of the book or start of chapter, and then export markers. It will use that setting as well. Great question, though. Thank you, Mark. Alrighty, now let's go back to Pozotron. So the other reports are the proofing report and typo report. These will give you the same information as the pickup packet, but in Excel form. And then the typo report is its own thing. If you have marked anything as a typo, it will automatically generate a report there that you can send to the author if you want. So those are the kinds of reports here. Then missing text and missed chapters reports. These are new. This will export a report to tell me if I missed a file. So it's basically checking the names of your audio. So I have 01, 02, 03, 04. If I archive a chapter here and I do a missed chapters report, this is going to download an Excel sheet. That, if I open it up, you should see, it knows it's archived, so I can't trick it. It already knows that I did upload the right audio file. It does check your archive, but that's good to know. If you accidentally archive something, you'll see it here. But if I didn't upload 4 or 5 or something like that, it'll give me a quick check to make sure that I didn't miss a whole chapter. And then the missing text report, this will probably also come back empty. This is just going to tell me everything that was not narrated in my script. It's a PDF report. You can see all of this was not recorded, and it's showing me all of Sherlock Holmes because I archived it. So this one will show that. But you can see at a glance if usually there's not an entire chapter in here, but you can see what you did not read throughout the whole book. So very nice double check to make sure you didn't miss anything. And those are brand new, so play around with them. Let me know if they help. Moving on. Audio analysis. We only have a couple more slides. Be wrapping up soon, and we have plenty of time for questions if there are any. But audio analysis is the final check. So after you've proofed everything, you scan occurrences to make sure everything's correct. You've gotten your reports, you've recorded the pickups, and mastered your audio files, and you're ready to upload it to ACX or send it off to Spotify or wherever it's going to go. You can check for free in Pozotron audio analysis. So we don't charge for any of this. You can just upload your audio, your mastered files. So this is for your mastered audio. Choose a spec. We have ACX or Spotify or whatever you need. You can also add your own preset. If you have a custom thing you're going for, you can set in your specifications here and click Show Analysis. And this is going to test your files against the ACX specs. That's what I have selected here. And I can see, okay, most of these failed. Let's check out Sherlock Holmes. We can see it's going to check the file duration, sample rate, sample peak, RMS, noise floor, top and tail duration. And that looks like to be my only issue is the top and tail duration. You can see the expected value, what it's supposed to be, and then the actual value here. And it says solution here coming soon, but this is really just a place to check if your audio is up to par. And usually with top and tail, you can go in and edit this yourself and make sure they're all set. So this is our final post-production tool before you can then come back to your proofing tool And edit details and status, we're going to mark it as complete. If I wanted to, I could do that here and then even move this to a completed folder so that when I come back to my home page here, it's all nice and tidy. You'll see if I click this view here, anything that has the completed mark will show like that. And then you're able to sort that by that as well, or filter by it. A little off track there, but here we go. And the last thing before I let you go are some profile settings. So I already showed you this is where you can do the one-click pickup tag, but there's actually a lot of useful stuff in here. And I'm going to go through these. We're going to go to your dashboard up here, go to settings. Actually, question from Gregory. Will the analysis report be exportable? That is a good question. Absolutely. So if we go back to audio analysis, you can export the project checked to Excel, to a PDF, or an online report. So any of these will work fine. And play around with these if you want. The online one is similar to like our pronunciation stuff. This is the same information you would get in Pozotron, but it's not project specific. So you don't need to share the project with someone. You can just send them this URL and they'll be able to see all of the details. Great question. I missed that part. Lastly, we're going to go to dashboard, go to settings. And in here, there's a few different options. These settings are also for prep. Here you can actually enter a default marker. There's a typo there. DAW marker format. You can choose what DAW will be automatically exported as, so you don't need to select it every time. You can change the misread format from arrow to should be if you'd like. Speed mode context offset is awesome. So this is the amount of time, if you click an annotation, Pozotron will skip to that section of the audio, but it'll go by default 2 seconds behind the pickup. You can change that to be 1 second, 0 seconds, or more. And this can actually speed up your speed mode proofing as well as you go through using the hotkeys. I already talked about the one-click pickup tag. You can change that here. All of them are available. You can automatically tag noise pickups without editing, automatically tag pause pickups without editing whenever they're marked as a pickup, or turn that off. A prompt to, if you upload a script, to say, hey, are you sure this is the final version if you'd like. You can choose your default this is for script prep, but you can choose your preferred dictionary. Put ignored research words, so words that it will never suggest to you in a suggestions list. You can hide any collaborator emails, so if you invite multiple people to a project, they won't be able to see the other's email if you prefer that. We already talked about these, but little things that can just make your experience in Pozotron a little more customized and to fit your workflow. Not having to change your DAW every time, just little things like that add up. Oh boy, that was a lot. Thank you everybody for coming. That was everything I had planned, but we do have extra time if you have any questions or if you'd like to see any particular feature that I maybe went over too quickly, let me know. Now is the time. But lastly, I did want to say you can always get in touch with us. Myself or Adam Fritz, our CEO, are always available for a meeting. You can book a call with us straight from your profile in Pozotron. If there's a help button right here, book a demo is fine. This is just going to book a meeting with us. Doesn't have to be a demo. You can actually put a description of what you want to talk about in here afterwards. You just pick a day that works for you and we'll meet up and talk about whatever you need help with. You can always request support from here. This is the best way to get in touch with us if you have an issue with a project, because this will share the project with us so we can take a look at what's going on and make sure you get through your project with no road bumps. Lastly, we do have tutorials. We have our support knowledge base, and you can always contact us from the contact page. I should probably just show you all of these. So our tutorials are here, Help Center, our previous webinars. So anything you need if you want to study up on Pozotron and level up your Pozotron knowledge should be available in there. And that's it. Thank you so much for your time. I hope this was helpful. We did go deep into the weeds on certain points of the workflow in Pozotron, but if you need them, we've added all these features for different reasons, for different projects and different workflows. So hopefully you found some things you can take back to your workflow today and increase the efficiency, the time saved, and really just the quality of working in Pozotron. Thanks so much for coming, and yeah, I'll hang on. If you have any questions, let me know. Julia, Mark, Matt, thanks so much. Yeah, appreciate it. Thanks for coming. And we'll see you at the next one. Thanks, David. Thanks for coming. It's fun to have you in the chat, always. Oh, that's great. All right, doesn't look like there's any questions, so oh, actually, it looks like we do have a question coming in. Gregory, refilter accent noise. I think you're going to expand on that, so I'll stick around. We'll see. Refilter accent noise. Yeah, what do you mean by that, Gregory? Oh, there you are. I keep getting picked up for a contra equals raction. Oh, gotcha. Contraction. Yep, so that's a good point. So that's when the PDF has, you run out of space and it's contra and then the dash and then the word continues on the next line. Sometimes Pozotron thinks those are individual words. I think your best bet is to use the filter out button. And that potentially could be an option in our PDF fixer as well to remove those or to combine those. So that's an idea. Currently, it's a bit of an annoying pest with PDFs. There's not really the best. It's not really a way to tell Positron, hey, this is one word without some development work. But yeah, I'll pass that on to our dev team. We do have some plans for a PDF repair tool that's going to be just given a lot of updates. It's going to be a lot better and it'll have some customization options available. So I can look into adding that as a point of interest as we look into developing this. So thank you for the suggestion. But yeah, for now, I would say filter out is probably your best option. Or if you want, you can actually prep your script by if you control F and find the dash, you can actually find and replace that with a space or with nothing so that it actually combines the words. I've done that before and that's worked, but yeah, unfortunately, it's not the easiest thing to solve. Yeah, and also if you do have another project with that issue, feel free to @Positron us with the tag or send me a message and we can take a look at it together. Alrighty, if there's no other questions, I will let you all go. Thank you so much again for attending. This was a lot of fun. And thanks, Gregory. I appreciate it. It's nice to work with you because you're so appreciative. So it's great. I'll always give you good support. You're very nice about it. Alrighty. I'm gonna let you go. Thanks again. Bye-bye.